Hello and welcome to Soups and Sabers. My name is Jordan. With me today, no one. Going solo today because uh I'm about to head off on a trip. Like I said last week, Ron and Chris will have your Peacemaker episode 3 coverage, of course, but there's some big news drop today for by James Gunn that I just wanted to get my thoughts out on it, get some theories out there. There's not too much to talk about. So, like a short episode here of me just kind of ranting about what I think this means and kind of just getting this out there. Um, and maybe we'll have more deeper dive into this later as more stuff comes out. But who knows? Maybe even Chris and Ron will share their thoughts on the Peacemaker episode before they get to that. But since I'm about to head out for vacation and be out of town, I figured let me get this done now. And then we have something out there for it, and I can get my thoughts out and people can listen to it. And, if you agree with me or if you don't agree with me, just go ahead and leave a comment on Spotify, leave a comment on YouTube, or, contact us. We have an email account now, SupesandSabers@gmail.com, or Soups and Sabers on all of our social media where you can contact us and give us your thoughts as it goes. So we've had a busy week this week. Monday, we dropped Peacemaker episode 2 discussion. Tuesday, we dropped Absolute Batman issue 11 discussion with Chris and Chris Evans. Giving that episode a go. And then today, Wednesday here, I'm dropping this. And then, later in the week, we'll drop Peacemaker episode 3. But look, you'll know by what the title of the video or the title of the podcast is. I'm sure unless you've been living under a rock and this is automatically playing, you don't know, you know the news here that we're going to be talking about. And that is James Gunn took to Blue Sky and Twitter and all of that good stuff. He went to all of it here. And Threads, right? And he went ahead and released this picture drawn by Jim Lee, this artwork here, where it is says Man of Tomorrow in theaters July 9th, 2027. And I forget how I saw this first. It wasn't, I don't think it was on Twitter. I think it was like somebody posting about it. And then I went back and double checked. And it was like only a minute or two old at that point that this was posted. Shared in the group chat with Ron and Chris immediately. And Chris was busy, so he didn't see it till like hours later, I think. And Ron and I are just theorizing back and forth, going back and forth. But Man of Tomorrow in theaters, July 9th, 2027. This is that sequel that is not a direct sequel that James Gunn has been discussing. And what he means is it's not Superman 2, but Superman plays a big part. And if you look at the image here of Lex Luthor in his super suit next to Superman leaning on him a bit here with a screwdriver, makes it seem like they're working together, right? Makes it seem like they're working together. And what I really love about this is that Man of Tomorrow fits both of them so well, right? I believe there are some comic continuities where like Lex discusses the Man of Tomorrow until Superman comes in, and then Superman kind of gets that moniker. And we kind of got that kind of alluded to, I think, in the movie, right? Where it's talking about, until Superman arrived, type of thing. And it seems like, Man of Tomorrow, if I had to guess, with James Gunn saying it's not a Superman movie, but he plays a big role, is that this might be a Lex Luthor centered movie called Man of Tomorrow, where he thinks he's the Man of Tomorrow. Of course, Superman is the Man of Tomorrow. So it actually works on both levels here. We've also been seeing some great theories that maybe Lex, uh, helps save the day here with Superman and is able to kind of use that to cleanse his image, run for president. I've seen that theory going around. Um, I think that would work too, right? I think that's a good way of how you're like, how do you get there after what we've seen him do in the first movie here, rehabilitating his image. I think one thing that I'm really excited for with this here is that this isn't, while it's not directly Superman 2, I love that it's staying with those core characters and that it's also character development, right? Lex hated Superman in the first one. He's probably still going to hate Lex in this one. But being able to have them like even put differences aside to maybe take on a bigger threat like a Brainiac or some other sort of threat that is putting Earth at risk, that makes Lex stand up and say, I want to fulfill my label as when I was the Man of Tomorrow. And we do know he cares, right? It didn't seem like he cared super much in Superman, but he did say, like, I'll stop the rift when it gets to a city I care about. So there are, I think what we see in the first movie is more of a I hate him with all my guts. And we might see that kind of get a little different interpretation in the next movie. And then what we also had, so I'm going to go ahead and share the image again here. This one is the Jim Lee one on the left, and then Jorge Jimenez had one that David Corensweat shared, and it looks like Lex and Superman teaming up side by side again here. Lex in the power suit again. So it looks like that's continuing. Okay, cool. Awesome. Interesting one is we got what Nicholas Hoult shared, which is an image of Superman punching Lex in the power suit. So I think if we're going to be, and look, this is all art that was created for this, from what we understand. It's David Corensweat's costume from the Superman movie. These images were shared today by these actors and James Gunn to announce the movie. It's one thing I really want to say is James Gunn is knocking it out of the park when it comes to this type of stuff. When it comes to this is fantastic because it is giving us everything we need to speculate on, other than just giving us a logo like Marvel and Star Wars and most companies just give you that little logo and say, here you go. This is what's cool about comic books. He was able to work with comic, and that's the thing. He's opened the door to comic writers and comic artists. He's had them on set. He works with Jim Lee a lot. So I think it's fitting that he shared the Jim Lee one for him. And that he's able to have this relationship with them where he probably approached them and said, hey, would you be able to make some quick like things for this for the announcement? And one thing that really works cool is it's not just the logo. It gives you maybe a little bit of concept, right? But it's not like film concept art, so you're not going too far down the concept art. But it also gives the comic artists a platform to share their artwork. This is what the general public is seeing. When Variety and Hollywood Reporter and Deadline are sharing their articles about this, they're linking to the tweet that has this image. They're linking the images in here, and it's giving Jim Lee, it's giving Jorge Jimenez, and I forget who had the third one here that Nicholas Hoult did. It's giving those artists a platform. Each one of these has their signature on it. It is there in front of you. And it, like I said, it's like everything he does seems to be doing it the right way when it comes to involving the comic artists, involving the comic writers. And I really, really dig the way that they're doing that. But anyway, so from what we see in those, right, we have kind of like the buddy cop thing with them leaning up against each other in the Jim Lee one and the Jorge Jimenez one. They're both frontward facing another foe. And then in the third one, we have Superman landing a punch on Lex in the suit. So it can go a couple ways, right? One thing I really like too about the Jim Lee art, let me pull that one back up again. I have to. The Jim Lee art here has the screws at the bottom in the shadow and Superman holding it. So it seems like maybe he unscrewed something to mess with Lex. It could also be that he was helping him build the suit, right? It could be multiple things there. But yeah, maybe they teamed up and, you know, he has to get to prison, get him out of prison to help this. Maybe he gets out of prison during Peacemaker, right? One thing that's been really interesting to me and intriguing to me is that we've been hearing James Gunn slyly smiling when he's being asked about the lead character of the DCU. Whose story is this? In the way that Guardian's story was Rocket. And he said it may surprise you. And I'm starting to lean towards it might be Lex Luthor's story, where he might play a big role in it, right? Because he's the villain in Superman. Superman kind of puts him in his place in that movie. And it's great, right? His character might evolve, though, from there, right? And then he said, you have to watch Peacemaker, figure out where we're going, right? Even with whose story it is. So people were thinking, oh, maybe it's Peacemaker's story. I don't know if that's the case when you're talking about the DCU and you have a character that's very TVMA rated R. So what comes up in the first 2 episodes of Peacemaker right away? Lex Luthor's portal event, right? The Rift comes up right away. And that's what they're worried about with the Quantum Unfolding Chamber. Now you get this next movie by James Gunn. And all these are written by James Gunn too. So that's kind of the linkage here. And it's a Lex Luthor, it looks like a Lex Luthor centered movie with Superman playing a big role called Man of Tomorrow. That seems to be tracking. We'll see if that continues, but that's kind of my theory right now, that Lex Luthor is kind of that main perspective, main character of the DCU from what James Gunn is writing. So we'll see how that goes, if that's true. But no, I just, there's not too much to go on about here. I just really want to get some of those thoughts out. I'm actually more excited for this now than when people were speculating Superman, Supergirl teaming up. Superman, Supergirl teaming up against Brainiac. If it's like Superman and Lex teaming up against Brainiac, or another extraterrestrial or existential threat, I'll be very pleased. I'll be very pleased with that. And I really loved Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. So for me, this is a win-win here. I get more David Corensweat Superman, and I get more Nicholas Hoult Lex. He's not, sitting on the sidelines in Belle Reve forever. And that's what I was kind of worried about, is that, like, oh, when's the next time we would see Lex? And while I do want more Superman villains, of course, if we get him teaming up with Superman, maybe they face another Superman villain, and then you get kind of best of both worlds. And I think that'd be really cool, because the chemistry between Hoult and Corensweat was great, even in the press tours and everything. Like, I'm very, very excited for this. Before we go, though, there was a rumor that came out, or Nexus Point News was reported. They have a pretty good track record, but their sources, they say here, are unverified for some of these claims. But for the, I guess, more verified claims, production is aiming to begin summer of 2026 in June. Gunn is, of course, writing, directing, and producing the movie. Safran will produce the movie. Corensweat and Hoult are returning. We did see Isabella Merced kind of repost this on Twitter, on Instagram, saying "See you soon." So it does seem like maybe she is in this movie. Um, Now the unverified sources told Nexus Point News that Supergirl, Lobo, and Peacemaker will have roles in the film as well. We did hear Gunn maybe talk about moving Peacemaker into film at some point. I just don't know if I see this happening if we're also having Hawkgirl. I think it's more likely to see like Terrific Hawkgirl and Guy Gardner again more than Lobo and Peacemaker. I could see Supergirl appearing in this though. Just don't know about Lobo, Peacemaker, and Supergirl teaming up. All of them teaming up with Superman and Lex. I think the core of the two leads is going to be Superman and Lex, and the rest of it will be there. But I just don't know. I mean, Peacemaker has been in Superman, but I mean, I don't know if he's going to be playing a main role in this movie from what they have. But the amazing thing really is that we have we're getting two Superman movies within the course of less than 2 years, right? This year it was July 11th, 2027 it's July 9th. It is just under the 2 years, but it's at that same month, same week window, which means to me that they also really liked that month and that window, right? And they're marking it down now. And with Superman being victorious domestically out of the rest of the July movies, I think it might help them stay away. I don't know if we're getting, Jurassic Park, Rebirth 2, whatever it's going to be. That same that same week, like July 4th now, right? Like, I don't think that's going to be the case. Yeah, because Superman has earned like 352 domestically, 351 domestically, and Jurassic World Rebirth was like 338 domestically. Worldwide, Jurassic Park made more. But the thing is, the companies get their more money from the domestic because they get a bigger split of the ticket revenue. So domestic kind of matters more there. So I think what you'll see is, I don't know if Disney's going to jump and be like, hey, that's when X-Men is now, or like, especially with Secret Wars not being until the end of that year. So I think it'll have a pretty open July compared to what it did this year. And with the love that people had for this movie and knowing he's going to show up in it, and with how Nicholas Hoult has become a meme in a good way with the 1A stuff, I think there's a runway here for this movie to do just as good or better than Superman at the box office. But again, that's all in the future. I'm just very pleased that this is how we are going forward here. Superman, I was worried when they said like it's not a direct sequel originally and that he does play a big role. People were thinking like a Justice Gang movie or a Mr. Terrific thing with Superman being, in there. But Superman and Lex with this artwork, both featuring Superman and Lex on all three of these artworks, shows me that he's not just a key part, he's like the co-lead of this movie. So I am very excited for this because Superman is my favorite DC character. Very excited to see more of this going on, especially if they are filming next year. We'll probably see some more set photos again like we did last year. It's coming out in less than 2 years. It's already in my calendar now. I'm counting down to it. I'm very excited to get back into that world. And hopefully the Daily Planet crew comes back. Hopefully all those players come back. But we will see. We will see. I think that's everything that I wanted to share here. Yeah. So I guess if Ron and Chris listen to this, if you guys talk about this on Peacemaker, share your thoughts on what you guys think. But I am very excited for this. If you are excited about this, leave a comment. Let us know your thoughts on Man of Tomorrow. That's all it's called. It's not Superman Man of Tomorrow. It's just Man of Tomorrow. Let us know your thoughts on maybe who that pertains to. Is it for both of them? Is it just Lex? Is it just Superman? Give us all your thoughts on that. I'm thinking it could be Lex's presidential run slogan after the movie, after he rehabilitates his image. We'll see if they ever go that route. But thank you for watching and listening at Supes and Sabers on all of our social media, supesandSabers@gmail.com for any emails. Thank you, and we'll catch you next time.